Jeremy TV.
Welcome back to the channel. Jeremy here with you, and this is finally the day that I had been working for several weeks to get to. Actually, technically, this that you're seeing here from the drone is the day before the barn was delivered. So the next day, the guys were on their way with the barn. It was scheduled to be the delivery and setup. It was probably going to take them a couple of days because they were doing both the gazebo that you saw in the previous video and the barn that you will see in this video. I did a flyover with the drone and a little point of interest flight just to kind of show what the area was like before the barn was put up, and then I do one at the end here as well to show what it looks like afterwards. But it took a lot of work to get this pad to this point, and of course it was moved 2 different times, so it ultimately is going to end up at spot number 3. We didn't really do any dirt work at spot number 1. Moved to number 2, got it pretty much level, and then ended up moving it to spot number 3 that you see there. And it was very level. It was within an inch or inch and a half all the way around, and there were some spots there in the middle that didn't affect the footing that weren't quite as perfectly level. But the main thing was getting the base level where those footing beams were going to go, and it was pretty big job. I mean, it was a lot to it, and there you can see by that Mount Vesuvius that I've referred to it. A whole lot of dirt left over, and even after this point there's going to be more. Now I'm recording the voiceover as the barn's already actually done at this point. All the work's done to it by the time I record this voiceover. But here you see me with the drone. I'm right out at the road, and I wanted to see the angle that the barn was going to sit at. The house is not parallel with the road, but I wanted the barn to be the same amount of not parallel as the house. So kind of wanted them sitting the same angle as one another. And they pretty much were. It wasn't perfect, but it was pretty close, especially just by eyeballing it. But so here the time lapse starts on the barn, and those guys worked. They worked a little bit to get some things put out, and then they kind of moved over to the gazebo. I did that video first. But it took them about a day and a half or so to do both structures. The gazebo only took about 2 hours probably, and then this one took the remainder of the time. 4 guys, they worked really efficiently, and they stay on the road doing these buildings. And the guy that I spoke to said that they'd actually been doing more recently, and I suspect that was probably because of the stimulus package that the government sent out this year, so due to the coronavirus. But here it was already kind of getting evening time, and those guys worked till after sundown, and then came in early the next day and started again. So I just basically set the camera up, set it on a 1-minute time lapse. So I took a picture every 1 minute throughout the whole project, and just went out every so often and swapped out the battery, and then recharged them overnight and started the whole process again the next day. So they're about to finish up for the day here, and then I'll show you an overflight about the next morning, about the time they were getting started again for the second day. But there's most of the frame is up by this point, and I did a quick flight around because I knew I'd never get this chance again. It just so happened that the weather was pretty good for flying, and they were okay with me being. But anyway, here is different angles of the barn, and then they got started. Man, once the thing started going up that second day, it really went fast. They were very efficient at what they do. I suspect that they do a ton of those, and that's just kind of old hat to them. But I don't have any regrets whatsoever about moving it up to that 3rd spot. I really think if I'd left it in spot number 2, I would have had a lot of regrets, because it's just such a low spot, and I'm a little worried about drainage as it is now, and it sits in spot number 3, which is about a foot to foot and a half higher than now even the west side, but also the east side. So I'm definitely glad I moved it. really did never feel good about it being in spot number 2. So I'm happy that it went to number 3, even though it cost me a whole lot more work and more stress and more worry, but ultimately it was the right decision. So I moved the camera around to the front because I knew that the angle I had before was not going to show a whole lot more work, and I knew if I moved it around you would be able to see them putting the doors in. So I wish I had the battery and storage capacity to just have run a video all day long and done more of a sped up video than time lapse. But honestly, with just the sheer amount of time that I was covering and the footage I was getting, there's no way I could have gotten video continuously with the setup that I've got. There they were packing up their stuff. I was paying them and they were getting out of Dodge. So that's finished, and now I'm doing the quick flight around after they left just to get everything, just to show the finished product. And I still had a lot of dirt work to do after this, but this was the finished barn, and I was pretty proud of it. I'm happy that I did it. I'm really pleased with it overall, and now that the project, as of right now that I'm talking, the project is completely finished. There will always be some tweaks, I think, with drainage and gravel and whatnot, but I was pretty happy that day when that barn was up and I had a place to put my cars. Granted, storm season was already over for the year, but anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was a lot of fun for me to see, and I hope it was fun for you to watch. Thanks for being here. I hope to see you again soon.